Hey everyone, this might be my favorite podcast from the last year. Dr. Jenny Bruck practices in New Hampshire. And, I've gotten to run alongside Jenny for a couple decades and always learned from her. And what she's doing to be able to be a director in her clinic, to leave for months on end and come back to this vibrant culture that she created. Well, that's what this podcast is all about. If you've been drilling down on metrics and KPIs, this is really good stuff that brings the heart of what it is to run a good team and what true leadership is that can carry on the culture that the leader envisioned for the business. So I'm excited for this podcast. Let's talk about our sponsor for this episode. It's Aloha, and Aloha, formerly Review Wave, has some really cool new AI that they're using. So agentic AI, I don't think they like to call it a chat bot, but think about some AI to answer your phones, a call agent, if you will, that integrates, because they're integrated into all the EHRs really seamlessly. That's one of the hiccups with AI right now, is how do you get it plugged into your EHR to actually start scheduling? Well, they've got an answer to that. So please, you can Google Aloha, formerly Review Wave, get them a call. They'll tell you all about the technology. Let's jump into this podcast. Everyone, welcome into the UAC Best Practices Podcast. Today, we have one of my favorite chiropractors who's been a friend and a mentor and a colleague and a cheerleader and everything else along the way. The point of this podcast is always to learn from somebody who's doing great things in our profession and get their perspective, and to get a gem, a nugget, something that any chiropractor can either aspire to or apply right away that's going to benefit the people they serve, benefit your clinic, benefit your family. So with that introduction, I'm going to kick it over to my co-host, Dr. Brian Capra.
Thanks, Doc. Appreciate it. So today we have a great guest. I think you're going to learn a lot from Dr. Jenny Bruck. And Doc, you've been in practice 28 years, Amherst, New Hampshire, a couple of associates, and gone through somewhat of a transition recently into more of a director. So tell our audience, about that transition, and maybe what's the most important things you're learning as you're going through that journey. And great to see you again. Just so I couple days ago.
I know. We're just together. Absolutely. Hi, everybody. I like a lot of chiropractors, as we get closer to 20, 30 years in practice, we hit our 50s. I at one point, I remember thinking, I don't know if I physically want to do this long term, at least at the volume I was doing, pretty high volume cash practice. I also had this sense that, my parents are aging. I want to be in a position that if I need to pack up and go to help or be there, I wanted the freedom to do that. As kids are growing and I'm becoming an empty nester, I wanted the freedom to be able to take off with my husband for weeks at a time. And then obviously as he hits retirement, I want to be able to be gone for months at a time. So in 2023, I attempted to start this process, and I was gone about 60 days in 2023. And honestly, the practice itself did fine. We stayed the same. We grew a little bit, but the culture of the practice was affected. The dynamic amongst the team members was affected. And I realized that when I'm there, I buffer and I communicate, help people communicate, I catch things. And I realized that I needed to find a way so I didn't have to be worried about that. So honestly, I just had a bit of a staff changeover. I kind of figured out who wasn't working. And I think the problem was, this is interesting, I thought from a chiropractor standpoint, I thought I had to replace myself with somebody like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the mistake, looking back, of choosing someone who was really dominant.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean they'll necessarily be like you or get along with the team like you. So that made everything struggle a little bit. So I started to hire a little bit better. And side note, the employee that ended up not working out was the only. I've used ProScan, the chiropractor uses the PDP ProScan for every employee for many, many years now. And Dr. Miner, you said to me I wouldn't hire that person. It's not the right fit. And I argued it, and I did it. it, and you were right. So I listen to
Lesson
Alan now.
learned.
So
Listen to
your
Alan.
team doesn't string you
We
up.
all have to go. We've all done that though. You're like, yeah, but and you have to go through the pain of
We
seeing it play out.
justify, right?
But let's say something about that, because that is an important point. You are still the leader of your business. You set the tone, you set the culture,
Yes.
you set the systems, you set the price points, you're hiring everybody. And there is a metric, just to give some background, of measuring different areas of behavior. And we like the Pro Scan at Chiro Matchmakers because it just fits really well with chiropractic.
It
And we
does.
measure these different components, but one of them is dominance. And what we found is I can't think of a single actually instance, maybe one, but typically if the associate docs have more dominance than the owner, or at least somewhere near, the nature is they can't help themselves. They're dominant by nature. They want to start influencing and taking control and getting themselves in a leadership role. Well, if that's what you need a person for, it's great. But if you're running your clinic your way with your systems, you need a team who follows that and is excited. And when you get somebody on there who's dominant, you're introducing this level of potential chaos because this person can't help themselves. They want, that's how they express themselves. They like arguing. They actually, you've been around these people. They get energized by debate and pushback. And you got to push back to kind of get their respect. And if your team's made of people like that, then people thrive. But if the rest of your team isn't that way, they get really steamrolled and intimidated, and it can create for a really, yeah, it can be not a good environment. And especially just having been around you for so many years, Jenny, there's one thing I'd say it's your superpower. It is the culture. You've always had this family practice, the teams you've had, like you just have this loving environment. So to have somebody that's contradictory to that, and I get it, it's common sense. You're trying to step out. It would be good to have a leader, but PDP does not measure all these other variables that come with culture, like empathy, like grit, like drive, like, there's all these other factors. So personality is part of it, but there are these other factors, and that's kind of what you're touching on.
You're right, because dominance doesn't always equal team player.
Usually
So,
doesn't.
and you
Yeah.
want to be able to leave and know that they're going to do what you've trained them to do, or what the office procedures are, and follow the values of the office, right? So finding people who are passionate about chiropractic, loyal, have a mature level of communication style, and they can take initiative is really the formula for me. And I've found that. I've also learned that personality and maturity is more important than just an ability to multitask.
Yeah.
It's easy to hire this like amazing person who can do all these things at once, but if they can't like really communicate well with your team or your patients, it's not worth it. So,
That's that
I think
emotional intelligence component. Like some people
yes.
just don't know how to adapt to the environment. And again, when culture is a heavy part of your business, which has been a key part, I think, to your success, it's like throwing a grenade in the middle of what you've built.
So what I did was I hired a couple new people, and like if you've ever had a group of people and you can you can get love mark with them. Like
Yeah.
there's not an outsider who's like, this is weird, or I don't want you to hug me, or
Yeah.
everyone's just too nice. No, everybody is just right there with you. So this is my new team, right? And so what I did was, knowing that I would be gone, I ended up being gone for the entire month of August last year. In June and July, we did something called the team experiences sheet. So I came up with like 8 different experiences we could have as a team. And instead of saying, we're doing all of this, I gave it to them and said, this is all a bonus. This is all some experiences. This is the date, the time, and what we're doing as a team. You check off the ones that you can go to or that you want to go to. And, we have an extended team. So we have 4 massage therapists, we have a family nurse practitioner, and a naturopath, and a holistic nutritionist. So we have a big team. But I told, so one of the experiences sheet was just for the core chiropractic team. One was for everyone in the building. And we did things like, a watercolor card making class where we went to this place where you can like do crafts, but the goal was to make cards that we could use for patients. So a sympathy card, a welcome to your new pet card, or congratulations on your marriage card. So we created the cards ourselves. So that was super fun. We had an intern who was a semi-pro baseball player home from college. So we went to his pro game where he pitched. So that was fun. We did like axe throwing karaoke. We did vision boarding together. We did we went to a glass studio and did a marble making class. We had lunch at a winery. We went and saw cows at a farm and had so we just picked all these different things, but they were bonding things. So we did. I remember thinking this is a lot in a short period of time because I think there was 8 experiences in like
And
2.5 months.
did you do those evenings, weekends? Did you
All
close
over
to
the
do
place.
them? Did you ever close the office to do it?
Nope.
Okay, so you worked around hours.
This is
And
when you
because I made them
return.
optional and there was a lot to choose from, it kind of, there was different groups of people at different ones, but everybody did some, and we didn't have to worry, like, because one chiropractor had a newborn at home, and one had to drive a far way, so it all kind of worked. But what happened was, we were so tight. Oh, we also do Christmas in July every July, so instead of waiting till Christmas and everyone's busy, I have a big party at my house. We have a pool, and we have food, and everybody brings like a Yankee swap gift, and it's all decorated for Christmas. So we've just done a lot of experiences as a team to bond us outside of the office. We also, by the way, did like tons of personality testing. We shared the pro scans with each other. We did like Myers-Briggs and Enneagram, and we would have meetings that we would just tack it on to our team meeting so we could learn about each other and understand each other's differences. So all of that happened, and then I was off. So between, like I was gone twice. I was gone a month at a time. Twice I was gone 2 weeks at a time. I was gone 10 days at a time. So I kept leaving, coming back, leaving, coming back, and it was shocking how much different. And then, of course, on top of all of that, these new people I hire, as they stepped in and showed me when I was gone that my office manager just like stepped up. She basically became me without adjusting, of course. And so I gave her a big raise because I wanted her to stay, and she is just so I'm paying the right people more, and it's worth it.
Gold. This is gold. This is gold. Talk about one little nugget, right? So hire right, don't hire dominance, maybe. And so what you've done is prior to going away, you make sure you do some real team building, culture building, connection, which is your way of leading without force feeding it, right? Kind of down their throat, just making them be on the same team, feeling connected. That's brilliant. Yeah.
Something else I did a couple different times in there when I was going to be gone for a while. It wasn't anything elaborate, but I took like a big sticky note, and I was the last one in the office. Oh my God, I feel emotional saying this. That's how I know it's important, right? I was the last person in the office. You're not going to be there for a long time. So, I'll close up. I'm just trying to get a few things done. And I sat down and wrote like maybe a 5-sentence like love note to every staff member, something I appreciated about them. And, when I'm gone, I love it that I know you will blank. I kind of spoke into them what I hoped for them while I was gone. And I stuck it on each of their computers. Right. And it's so funny. Like they all keep their sticky notes there. Like it's been a year and they each have like 3-4 sticky notes, and you can tell it meant a lot to them.
That's so beautiful, Jane, because in today's business world, the conversations tend to lean towards metrics and KPIs, and I love how you've got that heart side of this. That's just, it's interesting how many people we talk to, or even coming to UAC, who have scaled or wanting to scale multiple clinics. And it's my first response is always, then you need to be able to leave for 2 months and not come back. And if that business is still around where you left it, then you get the green light to go do some other clinics. In most chiros, the truth is they don't have the patience, but it's like from scar tissue, from 4 failed clinics, if I would have done what you put in place, and most people tend to go to, well, I'll get my systems, the KPIs, the metrics, and they're missing this. I think for all the years I've been in chiropractic, I've never heard really any coach talk about what you're giving here, of some really unique ways of how you bonded with people, you earned their trust. And so you can hear as you're talking, they don't want to disappoint you. They want you to come back, but it's because of what you invested them, and it's genius. It's absolutely genius.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
there is
not.
one metric which I think you might enjoy. Did I get it? Who did I get this from? It might have been Jeremy Meadows. Have you guys heard of the beat sheet?
No,
Have you done
I
the
haven't.
beat sheet? Okay, so when I go away for a month, they do the beat sheet. So it's a document that I take the last prior 10 weeks and I average, okay, in the past 10 weeks, how many adjustments did we do on a Monday morning? And so say the average is 60. So that becomes the thing to beat. And I do that for every week. And then I do how many new patients in a week and what the volume would be for the week. And I say, okay, so if 60 is the number to beat, then if they see more than 60, they each get $20 cash at the whole team, the whole like chiropractic team. And then that's the new number to beat. So the next Monday morning they have to beat that, and the next one they meet that. And then I literally go to the bank and I get like $1,000 worth of 20s. I put it in an envelope, I give it to my office manager, and I said, "You're in charge of the beat." And then if they beat the week, meaning they beat the full new patients or volume for the week, they get $50. And they are so motivated and they want me to come back and show me this is what we did. And it's
You know
fun.
what's neat? You know what I'm hearing too in more of these interviews is there seems to be something about bonusing quickly and
Yes.
frequently and even smaller than at the end of the month or the end of the quarter. There's just something in that that's powerful that I've heard echoed, and so it's interesting to hear you've landed on that as well.
Yeah.
The other funny thing is if we've done the beat sheet recently, instead of the beat sheet, we'll do what we call the coffee beat. So if they beat that shift, we get $20 credit for the whole team to get a coffee run, which could be tea or something. So then like come back and they'll be like, we have, $180 towards a coffee run. And then I'll be like, okay, so it looks like, Thursday afternoon, we're going to have a little lull between 4 and 5. Let's send the tech CA to go get the coffee order. Everyone get your order ready. And they get so excited. It's really cute.
Genius. As you're talking, I'm not positive, but I think I remember back when we did workshops when I was in my clinic and we had this behemoth 1,000 a week clinic. You and I had come up together in that, and it was always energy to fill the workshops. And you're like, oh, we just fill them up 6 months in advance. We put them up and everybody signs up ahead of time. And all of a sudden in December, we'd filled up every workshop through June, and then they were oversold. And like all of a sudden for that year, it was like church in there. It was like 110, 125 people per workshop. Like it's neat to hear where you're at with this because you've always had your finger on the pulse of what to do to build a culture of a business in chiropractic, and it's refreshing when I don't know why, but the world we're in lately, it's just also metrics driven, and you really genius. So I love it. Thank you for sharing that, Jay. That's one of my favorite best practices I've heard in a while on here.
Thanks.
Question, our final question, UAC, why have you been in it? What's it mean to you for somebody who's maybe considering coming into this? What's the benefit for you being in it for as long as you have?
Well, in January, it'll be 10 years.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I was just talking to my husband, Corey, about this. When I come back, my brain is different. I see my potential. I see what I'm doing. I see what I want to focus on in just a much, much bigger way. And I've gotten that in the past from some other large seminars I've been to, but particularly here, it's just the interaction. Like, who else can say, oh, I just got back from New York City and I had a 20-minute amazing conversation with Guy Riekman about the state of AI in chiropractic. I just walked up to him and sat down and said, hey, let's talk. And, like, it's just your access to brilliant minds is phenomenal. And you don't really get that anywhere else.
Yeah. Well said. And that's one of our core values is inside information and access. So well done. Well, we love and appreciate you,
Thank you
Jenny.
so
It's always
much,
great to
Jenny.
see you. Thanks
Hey,
for sharing that.
you're welcome.
All right.
See ya.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.